Today we are building a GQF style incubator, the cabinet version. I've looked all over YouTube and there's not a video one of how to build one of these, so that's what we're going to do. Stay tuned. Now I'm just going to measure this out, and this is a piece of legacy subflooring, so it's got external glue in it, so it should be good for this project. Alright, that's a top and a side. I'm just going to repeat the process and then to assembly. Alright, and now we're going to sand this, get it nice and smooth, and then start assembling it. Now they're sanded and it's time to put it together. Alright, now we start the assembly. Oh, this thing don't fall on my head. Alright, got that done. Now flip it over and do the inside part. Alright, now I'm going to take these. They're just scraps left over from when we cut all this. And they're going to be holders for my shelf that goes right here. I'm going to pre-drill them and screw them out. Alrighty. Now we can put these on. Now this is 8 5/16 down. All the way down. 3 1/16 back, and that's where you want to hold it right here. And these are, I don't know how long these are. Hang on. They're about 1.5 inches and they're 2 foot long. So now we put them up. That's done. Now we gotta cut a top for this and a thing for the fan. So stay tuned. Alright, so we got this in there, got it all clamped up. Now I'm gonna screw it down and then we're gonna cut a piece for our fan. Ta-da! Alright, so we got our piece cut, and now I gotta drill a hole in this, or cut a hole, not drill a hole, to put the fan cover in. And alright, got the center of it right there. I'm gonna mark it out. Ta-da! Now we cut. Okay, so this is what it's supposed to look like, minus the missing stuff on top, but that's okay. I'm gonna put wood glue in that and screw it from the sides. It'll be fine. Okay, there we go. It's secure. Now, work on the back. Alright, so I got the fan installed. I guess I should have recorded it, but I didn't. Now, I'm going to get the turner on there. And hang on. Oh! From here to here, I marked 1 1/16", and down was 2 15/16. And this to the fan is about 2 inches, give or take. Not that critical. As long as it don't hit. Alright, now I gotta cut a piece to go in here to fill this gap. Stay tuned. Alright, so I got the piece cut put in there. It's a piece of OSB board, like a 1/2 inch. That's all I needed. Now I'm gonna screw it in. I'm probably in the camera, but I'm sorry. I might be able to do that. Yeah. Maybe not. There we go. Now I gotta cut a block to go back here. So hang on. Okay. I got my block. I'm just gonna center it up by my eye. Crap. Be sure to get screws. Alright, center it up. Good enough. Alright. I gotta find the center. Put this one at 6 11/16. the bottom mark 7 and 3/8 to this side for the egg racks. And you just hold it to flush with the back. I get my screws. Alright, now we're going to work on the front end. Okay, so I got to get these rods in here, and they're a tad bit wider. So I'm going to recess them in on each side, and it'll work. I'm going to put the measurements on the screen. Now, we cut and chisel it out. Alright, that's how you do it. I'm going to finish this and be back. Alright, so I got all those notches in. Both sides. Now we're going to put these in there. Before we do that, we're going to put those in there. Stay tuned. Alright, so we got them tightened up. And now we're going to drill the other holes for the other accessories. Now I'm going to drill all the holes. Beautiful. And that's how you drill the holes. Okay. I got all my stuff done. Got all the trays in. Now let's see if it works. It lives! Let's see if this works. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. It works. Now I'm going to show you this because in order to this to work, you have to notch it. This is the actual GQF hatching tray, and yeah, you've got to play around with that to get it to work. Learned that the hard way. Alright, now we got to disassemble this thing and put some polyurethane on it. Alright, now we're going to put polyurethane on it. the first coat on. I'm going to put a couple more on there, get it done, and we're going to assemble it for the final fully functional. Okay, today we are putting this foam on top to seal it from leaking. It's just 3/4, I think it's 3/8 thick, but 3/4 wide. Window seal tape. You put it on your windows. Works good for this. I'm going to put staples in it to hold it. Be sure not to put it in your screw hose. That would be a problem. Now you want to beat these down with a hammer. Now I'm going to put the top on. Okay, now I'm going to seal the bottom gap with through the roof. You can get it in any of your hardware stores. Good stuff. Okay, got that done, let it dry, and that'll prevent your moisture from escaping out the bottom. Alright, so now we're going to do the wiring setup. These are half wired, so I'll try to explain it the best I can. Alright, now we're wiring up our thermostats. Now you want to take the two long wires. There's one short wire and one long wire. And I want to wire those together and solder them. But first, I'm going to put these little sleeves on there. They're just coax sleeves with the guts taken out. You don't have to. I think it looks better. There. Okay, now I'm going to add a piece of wire to both of them. The top one I'm going to put a red one. The bottom one put a blue one. It really don't matter what color wire you use. Okay, and that's how you wire up two thermostats together. Alright. So these thermostats cut off your power when this switch is hit. It swells up and it trips the switch. So this wire, you link those two together on the hot wire, and then this one goes to the hot wire. And this wire goes to your neutral wire. And they're cut off. This is just coax sheathing. Just take the guts out and make it look nicer. And then, you wire your light switch up. You'll one to the neutral, one to the hot wire. And then the fan, you just hook one to the neutral, one to the hot. No big deal. Your egg turner, you got a light on it. You got a switch. Yeah, it's a little harder to explain. Let's see if I can just do this, because that's a lot to explain. Alright, now you can freeze that and look at it, and there you go. Now we're going to put it into the hose. I added that, by the way. I think it was just a piece off this cord. Alright, so got them wired in now. We move on to the racks. Alright, so I discovered something. When you're putting this together, you're going to take the fan. Don't put the fan back in, because you need your hand to get in here. Okay, now we're going to hook up the heating elements. This bottom wire, one at the bottom, attaches to the top wire of your thermostat wire. Get that tied together. Get it good and tight. And you take the other one, you put it on your neutral. Which is your white wire. And now you should be all wired up. Get everything tucked out of the way, won't catch the fan, and you're in good shape. Now I'm get the top screwed on. Ta-da! Okay, now these don't come with the real incubators, GQF incubators. I put these on here. It's a little cloth wire, whatever. It keeps the mice out. Because I've had problems in the past, mice getting in there if you leave them open. So, this is a good fix. Just a little nut or a little bolt and washer. Just like that, do this one, and then do another one on the top one. In good shape. There. Now, put the back on. Alright, so I think this is a good idea. I'm going to put latches on the back, and I'm going to put these on the other side. That way when you need to clean it, you can open it up and shut it. And you don't have to take the screws out every time you want to open up the back. Alright. See if it works. Oh, it works beautifully. Alright, there we go. Yeah, it all latched. Good to go. Alright, now we'll put the weather stripping around the front. Alright, we got it done. Now we can put the door on. Okay, now we're going to put this angle iron on here. Now you don't have to if you don't want to. It'll work perfectly fine without. This is decorative purposes only. But if you do, it's 1.25" angle iron. And I painted it black. And just space out the screws any way you want. Okay, so I'm putting these little things on the bottom to keep it up off the table. And they're 15 and 15/16 wide or long, 3 1/8 wide. And I just drilled these little pilot holes. Now I'm gonna screw it on. Alright, we'll do the same thing on the bottom, then we're going to put the door on. Alright, now I'm going to screw this door on. Alright, so we got the incubator done. Got it heating. And it's bouncing back about 90 to 100. Got the watering system in there, but ain't got no water in it. Automatic egg turners are working. Door's got a good seal on it. Fan spinning. Now you don't have to have a door like this. I think they're a little different now. This one's an older door. I mean, that's what's left of it, and you can literally make a door out of that. And that's what all that looks like when we're done. The turner. What the hinges look like. Oh yeah, and you got these little vents back here. One at the top. One at the bottom. Oh, this is what the latches look like. Let me see what the back of the incubator looks like. That way you can clean it, work on it, whatever you want to. And that's what that looks like, all cut. And I'll make it turn. Okay. And then an arm coming up. That's why you want all your wires out of the way, because it will wrap around there and mess some stuff up. Especially if you got an automatic and you're not paying attention. Okay. Now you turn it back on automatic and it does what it's saying. There you go. Close this back up. And that's about it. Now, if you liked, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if needed. So I hope you got something out of this video. Thanks for watching. Peace.